Hey, we're talking about the Snowpocalypse. Up next on Geek Out SA.
Do not attempt to adjust your YouTube video. We control the stream.
And welcome back to Geek Out SA. It's Friday and we're having fun. And we're back. We're finally back.
Last Friday was a hot mess.
Yeah, that was a hot mess because that really messed up what we were going to do.
Well, so I'm sure that everybody either who watches this who's from San Antonio obviously was in the midst of it with us. And everybody who's across the country has by now, of course, heard about it because it was such a hot mess. Texas was quite the center of attention last week, and we were getting a lot of crud for our, energy resources and our grid and stuff like that. And, me as an everyday citizen, I didn't even know that was going on. It's not something they were like, oh, Texas should vote better and stop voting Republican. I don't know that was something that they had us vote on, and if they did, I don't remember when that happened or whatever. But, I am Texan pure, born and bred, so the producer's probably going to give me this look or whatever, but I'm down for us staying on our own grid. Once we winterize it, we're going to secede one of these days and be our own country. So
I don't think we have to winterize it. It was just a kind of a perfect storm, as to say. Half the grid was down for maintenance. There was some mistakes made.
There were some mistakes made, but people want to act like, oh, Texas was using solar and wind. Vincent and I use solar in our home. Solar is very hello, Texas sun.
How did the solar work for you when the power went out?
Yeah, we didn't actually have any power outages. So we weren't without power, but our heater broke. So we were without heat. So it was 40 degrees in our house because there was no central heat. So we were cold, and we had no internet and cable. Something happened with Spectrum, and it took them from Monday morning at 6:30 a.m.
Well, from what I found out about that is wherever the signal was coming from, the power was out there.
Oh, okay.
For 5
days. Yeah, because we were like, really? What is the problem? We got it that some of the days it was really dangerous and people weren't sending crews out, so that was totally fine. But there was a couple of days where it got to be 40, and so the roads were okay and people were getting out, and they still couldn't fix our internet or cable. So from Monday morning at 6:30 a.m. until Friday night at 5:30 at night, we had nothing. No internet, no cable. But luckily, we were really lucky. We had power the whole time.
Yeah.
And we had water the whole time. So we got really fortunate. And I don't know that the solar impacted us because we don't have a battery yet that is for our house specifically.
Yeah.
So that is something that we talked about looking into.
One of the geeky things are let's get a Tesla battery.
Fortunately, we're campers, and so should we have had the power go out, because we're campers, we have sleeping bags because we learned the hard way in Yellowstone. So we now have sleeping bags that are rated to less than 0.
And another cool thing that we have is we have a propane stove, and we have propane.
And we have a propane heater too.
Yeah. But we actually have propane.
Yeah, we do.
And we just happen to, keep some because, who knows?
Right. I mean, we're kind of preppers, but not exactly preppers. So I don't know if y'all out there, if y'all are geeks and you're watching this, I'm sure you know what a prepper is. So it's somebody who gets ready in case there's a disaster. So Vincent and I are kind of preppers, kind of not preppers. We have a small bit of prepping stuff just in case. And because, I grew up poor or whatever, and I grew up with parents who lived with parents and grandparents who grew up through the Depression, whenever there was any kind of storm, my mom and dad always taught us to, put some water in a jug. They used to have milk jugs, but I don't drink milk. But we drink a lot of soda. So when this first started going down, I filled up water in our soda jugs, so we had water. We were running the faucets the whole time, dripping all the faucets and all of the bathrooms.
We had a Home Depot bucket full of water.
Yeah, well, because I don't like to waste, and I don't know if anything's going to happen. So since we were dripping water in the shower and in the tub, we had buckets under the drips to catch those drips because we're getting water. So it drips long enough overnight. You get a 5-gallon bucket full of water.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, we were lucky. Were we cold? We were cold. But we also have space heaters. So we were able to turn on our space heaters and stay warm.
Yeah.
Were we bored? Yes. And that's where the show comes in.
Yes. So we're like, we don't have cable for 5 days. So we're going, okay, well, we can do without cable, but we don't have internet either, so we can't get Netflix.
Right.
So we're like, what do? We have a ton of DVDs and
I should have sent Stuart the picture because
Blu-ray.
Some friends asked so that you could show it to everybody here. Because some friends were like, well, you know, how are y'all doing or whatever? And I was like, well, at least we're entertained, right? And they were like, what do you mean? And so I sent them the picture of our shelving unit that has all of our Blu-rays and DVDs. It's a whole wall in our living room. It's a whole wall in our living room. So we do have things to keep us entertained. And we did.
So we saw a lot of movies, yeah.
We started with Kick-Ass, 1 and 2. So we saw those, which we haven't seen in forever.
It's been a long time, yeah.
And then, I love Melissa McCarthy. I know some people don't think she's funny, but I think she's hilarious. So then we watched Spy with Melissa McCarthy and Jason Statham. They are so funny together. God, I wish they would make another one of those, because that one, like, cracked me up. Then we watched Shanghai Noon, and then we tried to watch Shanghai Nights, but then our copy didn't work, so that was a little frustrating. When we would get to some movies where we realized that our kids had watched them, like, a lot when they were, like, teens and younger and stuff, and they had gotten scratched up and they were all messed up, and we didn't have, like, a fixing kit or anything anymore. We used to have, like, one of those fixing kits, but...
I got a professional grade one, so I'll come over and I'll fix whatever you need.
Oh, okay.
Sweet.
So we were, like, kind of excited to see that movie, and then...
Or we had a Blu-ray that we brought from upstairs, a Blu-ray player. Because usually we watch, like, Blu-ray or DVDs on the PS4.
But it was so cold in the living room because we have, like, 10-foot ceilings and we have an open floor plan. So our little space heater was doing jack diddly nothing. So we decided not to hog energy off the grid. So we were like, well, we'll bundle up, we'll put on blankets, and we'll watch some Blu-rays in the living room, and we just won't have any heat. But we'll at least have entertainment.
Oh, and Steve, he says, dang it, Bobby, I sell propane and propane accessories. I tell you what.
So we were doing great watching the Blu-rays, but then we were like, well, we can heat up the bedroom at night, and so we'll watch a movie in the evening before bed, and we'll get the Blu-ray player from my little crafting room upstairs, and we'll bring it downstairs. It played a Blu-ray and then stopped working after that. We were just like...
Just one Blu-ray, and then every Blu-ray after that wouldn't play.
It wouldn't play. We were like, whatever. So then we were like, okay, well, and then, you know, there's only so many movies you can watch. But let me not lie. We probably watched 27 movies, right? So then we were like, well, for me, I get real antsy. And I'm like, okay, I can't just be watching movies. I can't just be watching movies. So I was like, let's play a game.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, do we have games. Like, you think we have movies? We have that many games, too. So
we have our arcade machine. So we played some arcade machine.
Because we had some power.
Because we have power,
But we tried not to play that too much because, again, we were trying to conserve power, and it was cold. So when we came out to cook and when we tried to play the arcade machine, we didn't have any heat. So we're like, okay, we had on our thermals that we have for camping, and then we had, like, on our sweatpants, and then we had on our jackets, and we had on our hats, because it was cold in here. It was super, super cold. That one day when it was, like, 9 degrees outside, it was only, like, 30 in here. It was cold. So, and then we really were trying, I don't want people to think that we were, like, hogging electricity while other people were going out. Like, we were really, really being responsible. Like, we didn't have any lights on during the day. We only turned on the oven when we would need to cook or something. We did the movies and stuff, but we took a break and we played games. and we play board games and stuff too. So we like cheesy. Sometimes we like cheesy little board games. I can never play Pizza Monopoly with Vince ever again. So Vince really likes Monopoly.
I like Monopoly.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
He used to play a lot when he was a kid, and he used to beat people. And everybody says he was a cheater when he was a kid. I don't think he's a cheater. I think he's just got like the weirdest luck on the freaking planet, dude. Like the weirdest luck. So this Pizza Monopoly, I was like, oh, it's so cute. Like it's in a pizza delivery box, and it's like catchy, right? And it's gimmicky. So I was like, let's play that, and we'll play it on the bed, and it's like we're having a pizza party or whatever.
We didn't even finish the game.
No, we didn't make it. I couldn't. I was mad. I rage quit that game. I was so mad. Like I would get something and then I would like land on all his stuff and then I would have to like, mortgage all my pepperoni slices and get rid of all my mushrooms and stuff. And I was like, oh, I was frustrated. It made me so mad. So I was like, well, maybe we shouldn't play that game anymore. And then luckily because I'm a school teacher, so we have a bunch of stuff, like school teachery stuff. And because of COVID, I bought some stuff that I was gonna like slowly take to my classroom that I never got to take to my classroom because like everything kind of ended. So one of the things that we have a couple of is bowling sets. So I have like this little wooden bowling set. It has a little wooden ball. We got it on clearance. No, I think we got it at Dirt Cheap.
Yeah.
It used to be a Target thing, and then we found it at Dirt Cheap. So Dirt Cheap is like this really awesome bargain place if you want to go like find things on sale. So again, we had like the Frozen Tundra bowling alley, but we have a pretty good hallway that kind of goes into our front door. So we could set up the little bowling pins and like bowl. But the dog, then the dog thinks that it's playtime. So he's chasing it and knocking down the bowling pins and everything. So we were like, okay, well maybe that's not the best. You have no entertainment and you're trying to entertain yourself and you think these things are good ideas. Then they don't end up being such good ideas after all. But I was telling some of my students, we were talking about it, and like if you didn't have that stuff, like if you hadn't, like, because I was talking to them too, because a lot of them like lost power, and I was like, what did you do? And they were like, well, we were bored, right? And I was like, we don't have to be bored, right? Like if you don't have a bowling set,
but apart from doing stuff,
you could make one.
What did you miss during this time?
Heat.
Besides the obvious.
Nothing. I thought we had a great time. Like it was like.
But I like probably.
You miss Netflix.
Get into my computer every day. Of course, there was like 3 days that I couldn't like physically work. I had to like work everything from phone.
Yeah, which was weird for you.
I mean, fortunately,
because I'm a teacher, so I was off. I started to have a panic attack by Thursday because as teachers we need some of that extra time to like grade and do stuff like that. So in my mind, we had all this extra time that I could have used to grade things, to make really cool assignments for the upcoming 9 weeks,
Right.
And I wasn't able to do all of that. So I did have a little meltdown that Vince had to kind of deal with me with that. And just kind of like calm me down a little bit because I was like, I'm being useless and I can't do anything and I'm not getting anything accomplished
And this is at a point where I had gone back to work.
Yeah.
But I still didn't have internet, so I had to use my phone as a mobile hotspot and connect through my laptop. Because I don't have Wi-Fi on my computers. So I have to like deal with using only one screen because I usually have two. I have a bunch of computers in here, and I couldn't do anything with them
Couldn't use any of them. They were
for
just
5 days.
yeah.
It was crazy.
I think it was just an odd experience altogether. I mean, fortunately, we have a lot of stuff in our household. So like when I was like stressing out on Thursday, and you were like, "Honey, like I've really got to work," because it had been so many days without you working. I was like, "I've got to go do something to like relieve my stress and my tension," and so we have just so many crafts and things and like paints. So again, I'm like bundled up and I'm like in there like trying to paint figures and stuff in the freezing cold. But once I was kind of doing it and into it, it wasn't so bad. And I had a radio, so I was listening to music on the radio. And you know, I'm old, so like I grew up in a time where I didn't need the internet and stuff to entertain me. So, you know, I read some, I looked through some old comics, we watched some movies, I painted some figures, like...
You know, one of the things that I missed during all of this was my electronic assistant that I can't say because she's gonna...
So I did notice that you were really struggling with that. Like, I was like, dude, just get up and, like, press the button and it turns stuff on. And he was like, no, but it's not. I can't turn it on. I need her to turn things. And he would be like, I can't turn the lights on. And I'm like, you just have to push the button. Like, he's lost his mind because of this assistant. Like, lost his mind. Stuart is losing his mind now that he knows this about Vince. He's like, we can't be friends anymore. We can't. Like, he has her do so much, and you don't even think about it. And I was thinking about people whose houses are even more, like, their locks are like that, and their refrigerators are like that, and all that stuff. Like,
you should have come to my house where the internet went out on Saturday, and then the heat went out on Sunday, and then the electricity went out on Sunday night, and we didn't get electricity back until Wednesday.
wow.
And we didn't get heat back in until Saturday, and that cost me $10,000. That was awesome.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Luckily, we have the home warranty thing. So, because we didn't get our heat back until Friday night. But luckily, we only had to pay our deductible for the home warranty to get that. But they came out and they were like, oh yeah, it's an easy fix. It's this part. Sorry, just kidding. We don't have that part. Yeah. And then they came out again. And they're like, oh, we have that part now. And they were like, oh, just kidding. It wasn't really that part. That's not what was wrong
just
with
waiting. We actually replaced that part the last time we were here.
Yeah.
It's not that part. It's something else.
My heat that went out now, when I looked at the stuff that the AC people kind of scared us into replacing, I looked at it and went, oh, it's a wire. I could have fixed that. One wire.
Wow. What is he tearing at?
Stuff. And then I drove to work 3 out of the 5 days.
Really?
That was fun.
Well,
Thursday was the worst, driving home.
It was crazy to be cooped up for home for so long, to not even be able to get out.
Well, to have compounded it on top of us having been cooped up for COVID for a year almost now. It's almost been a year that we've been, like, kind of not doing any of the normal things that we would have considered normal, quote unquote. I can't believe, Stuart, that you had to drive in that, because it was bad.
And I had to look after the people in the COVID bubble as well. That was awesome too.
Yeah.
Trying to get them supplies because they had a burst water heater, so no water, and then no power. So, yeah.
We went out and got pizza one day.
It was before it started. It was Sunday night.
Yeah.
We did that Sunday night, and we had to drive back home 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I can tell you, by Friday, everything was stripped. Supermarkets were stripped completely.
Yeah. Well, see, we've prepped. This is one of the things I talked about to people, because we prepped ahead of time. Like, we knew the storm was coming.
We knew this was coming.
Yeah.
We knew the storm was coming. So that's one of the things that I don't understand, that maybe it's like a teachable moment that people need, because, like, okay, we didn't realize, none of us realized that the power and the water were going to go out, right? And again, I was prepared just because I lived with people who lived with
but
people
there was
who lived
toilet
through the
paper
Depression.
still there. So
Yeah.
well, because they had so much when the COVID first started, so
they
didn't need any
paper,
more.
But then they couldn't flush their toilets.
Yeah.
Well,
they
so
couldn't flush their toilets
were
anyway.
going,
No water.
Like, people don't have like any water. Like, we have water, bottled water, because I don't drink bottled water. Okay. Let me explain this weird thing about me to all of you at home. And Vincent puts up with this, bless his heart. Okay, so I will buy things that are like the good things. And then Vincent's not allowed to use them. You can't use them because they're the good things, right? So I have Clorox wipes still, but they're actually too good to use for like regular everyday stuff. So, like, I have several containers of Clorox wipes still because if something happens, I'll, like, dilute bleach with water and get a spray bottle and a rag and I'll wash stuff down, or I'll use the Fabuloso or whatever. Well, we have water bottles. Well, since we have running water in the sink, you're not allowed to use the water bottles. That's too good for everyday drinking. You have to use the water from the sink and a cup. The water bottles are for emergencies, camping, if you're going, like, on a trip or something, whatever. That's what the water bottles were for. Like, even when we went to Europe, we got these big water bottles in Paris because we were, like, thirsty or whatever. Then I found out that in Rome, all the fountains were free cold water.
Nice water bottles, too.
They were nice water bottles.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, we're just carrying these water bottles around all every day we're in Rome, and we're filling them up in these spigots of free water that Rome's giving us for free. And so that's what we did, and we didn't buy any more water bottles. Like, I just have these weird ideas.
It was funny. When we were in Rome, it was so hot there, but the water was so cold.
Because it comes from down in there, and so I have all these weird rules. So we have all of these supplies, right? Because they're too good for everyday use. So if there's an emergency, we have them, which I guess is a weird way to look at it, but has kind of helped us out a few times in the past. And so even if we didn't have the water bottles, like I filled up the 3 liters. I filled up 3 liters with water just in case, so we would have water for a couple of days.
Yeah, we also know a lot of people from, up north. They're like, oh, why are you having such a big trouble? It's like, Texas, why is Texas having such big trouble? Texas doesn't build things because of the super cold.
No,
so
we're built for super hot.
We're built for super hot.
Yeah, it's like when the power went out, we don't have a space heater in the house.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No. I mean, I got propane to last me 6 months. So I could heat stuff with my heater.
Right.
But when the power came back on, it's like, we don't have a space heater. And then you go to Walmart or something, it's like, yeah.
Forget it.
Good joke.
Yeah. That wasn't happening. Like, yeah. Well, I mean, once everybody's in the midst of it, it's too late. Like, unless you're the first one and somehow you get out there, like, milk was gone, eggs were gone, and luckily
Bread.
it's just the 2 of us, but we buy the 5 dozen eggs because he's got to cook breakfast every morning because of COVID. So it just ended up being a cost saver for us at the beginning of COVID. So we've just continued to do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we had eggs for the 2 of us for the whole week. We had meat because it's cheaper to buy that little chub chunk thing at H-E-B, and it's just the 2 of us, and I can divide that into 4 meals.
Yeah.
And then when it's on sale, or when it's a meal deal or something, and I'm like, oh, well, I get a coupon and I get this free stuff that I'll probably never eat, but I'll keep it in my pantry. So then my pantry has staples of stuff that we could eat,
Oh, well, it's San Antonio. About 50% of all households have chickens anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, well, a lot of my kids and stuff, ever since COVID started, their families got chickens. So they had eggs, and they had, a lot of them were saying, though, that they had to bring the chickens inside, like, into the bathroom because they didn't have power, and so their heating lamps, they couldn't use the heating lamps to heat the chicken coop, and the chickens would have frozen to death. So they had chickens in the bathtubs and in the bathroom.
And you're in all of this, too. Colleen's, you know what? I haven't vlogged for a while. So she started vlogging. How many videos, like four. I thought it was only 3. It's 4 videos.
It's a video of the snow, like
Yeah.
just kind of falling. It's a video of our dog's first experience in the snow. Then it's the next day, you and I, because we have boots, we have snow boots, because we went to Lake Tahoe one time and we bought snow boots to go one time. And we were like, yes, we get to use our snow boots. So we were outside in our snow boots. So I vlogged us in our snow boots. And then I took the dog the second time when it started snowing again, I took the dog out and took him for a walk, but he didn't have a sweater. So then I cut up one of our son's old hoodies that he had left behind and made a dog sweater out of it and took the dog for a walk.
Because we couldn't go to the stores because some of them were closed or we didn't want to drive
I
on the
didn't
streets.
want to drive or go, or do any of that. So, so if you want to see any of Vincent's and my like everyday life shenanigans, I have my own channel called Clearly Colleen, and that's where all those vlogs are.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other YouTubers in town also did, because Sean was
Yeah, Sean
me.
Cortez of Sean Vlogs did his own Snowpocalypse.
Snowpocalypse, yeah. So it was really, there were moments, right, because it's not something that we're used to, that it was very pretty, right? And it was very beautiful to watch the big snowflakes come down.
Yeah, that first snow.
That first snow was really
super
pretty.
huge, big flakes.
Because we stayed up Sunday night, because it started snowing Sunday night. And so we stayed up Sunday night figuring that I probably wasn't going to have to go to work, not knowing that Vincent wasn't going to have to go to work. But we stayed up and watched the snow and let the dog was not so sure about it at first. And then once he went out there, he was jumping up and trying to eat the snow out of the air and stuff. So there were very happy moments.
Mm-hmm.
But there were also some really stressful moments just because we have older parents and they lost power. And then the roads were really dangerous, and we didn't want to try to go over there and get them and put them in danger in the car and put us in danger. So we were just kind of like constantly checking on them, like, are you in layers? Are you warm? Our kids lost power, so then we were like, do you need to come over here? But then our dog is a bully, and he attacks the other dogs, and so our kids can't come over with their dogs. And, so it was like those kind of stressors. I know a lot of people in San Antonio had a lot more stress and a lot harder than we did.
Yeah.
But it was nice that people...
Because overall, we still had power. We still had water.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Yeah, so it sucked to hear that you had to go through all of that with no power, no water.
Well, we had water. We were the only ones in our neighborhood block that didn't have burst pipes, because we're one of the only houses that's a single story. Everybody that had a double story, their upstairs water pipes broke, so they were ripping siding off the house trying to repair all that.
We lucked out because we have 2 stories. We lucked out that ours didn't freeze over.
Yeah, because we couldn't drip the upstairs ones because it's capped off right now because we were trying to remodel it, and we got ripped off from that, and so we got real lucky.
Not ripped off, just
ripped off. We got ripped off. So we were really lucky. Like, we were really worried about the upstairs, that was going to happen. I guess maybe we got fortunate enough that because I ran water in every single other place that water could run, that we just got lucky.
See, I'm lucky enough. My house, the pipes go down deep enough and run underneath the pad. My pipes come directly out from the meter and then go down about 6 feet in the ground. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know whether it was purposely built like that, but I know last time I had to replace the pipe out of the meter, it was a pain in the butt to dig up.
Nice. Yikes.
But yeah, my friend in her bubble, when she lost her hot water heater, and she had gallons of water because she's got a drinking fountain thing.
Right.
But without any water, you can't flush the toilet, you can't bathe, and they were out for about, well, they're still having problems now. But of course, being in the airtight COVID bubble, you don't go out to get water.
Yeah. Well, and as of right now, I still saw people saying, well, the city is giving people water, but like if you're trying to go to HEB and stuff, it's still hard to find it.
I heard some things where people in apartments were going to the pool, getting buckets, up in the pool.
That's what their apartment complex said. Well, if you need water to flush your toilet, go to the pool.
Yeah.
And I got them. And this was just me. I went into a HEB and in a Walmart over near them, and they were cleaned out completely. This is before, it was, I think, Friday. I tried, and they shut everything down because of power and stuff on the Thursday. And also, I was walking out of the Walmart when I walked by the freezer, In the front, it was like all bags of ice. So I went to an ice station and just bought bags of ice, and took like 100 pounds of ice to them, and it was like, it's purified, it's water, it'll melt eventually. Just keep it in the plastic bag and be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I saw some people were using snow, so they were collecting up like buckets and trash cans and stuff of snow, and then taking it into the house, and
Just
as
not
it
the
was
yellow
melting,
snow.
they were using it to flush the toilet. So, it was really great to see how innovative people were, how much people were helping each other.
People were cooking in their fireplace.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Some people were like doing their Pop-Tarts and stuff in the fireplace. I was like, that's too funny. But I was talking to some friends because we have a fireplace too, but we know that ours needs to be cleaned, and so we haven't used it because we haven't called out to get it cleaned. So that's what some of my friends were like. I was afraid to use mine because it's been like 3 or 4 years since I've had it cleaned, and it's like. And I tried it one year, and like the soot was coming back in the house. So
I got 2 in my house, and I was like, oh, cool, I'll just use that. Oh wait, I need wood. Oh, I've got plenty of trees around the house. I need to get the chainsaw. Oh wait, the garage door is electronic. And the chainsaw is in the front of the garage, and there's so much crap in it, I can't pull the release.
Can't pull it. Oh no.
I hate when that happens. But it's weird how these everyday things that you do, you just can't do.
Yeah.
With what we have, I can't imagine people that lost power. You couldn't even charge your phone.
No, people were going and sitting in their cars, and they were turning their cars on to get warm and to charge their phones.
Yeah, we had battery backups for all the electronic equipment, that we turned everything off, and we charged phones for almost 3 days on the batteries.
On the batteries.
Yeah, because it was just charging the thing.
Yeah.
But
we have some battery backup too, some power.
I had a teen that almost died.
Oh, because she. Yeah.
Because her phone went dead, and I was like, I'm sorry, the adults need to charge. not saying that you could just take it out of the car and charge it, but that would involve coming out of a room.
Right.
I have no electronics, I can't play the radio, there's no TikTok and there's no YouTube, and
I don't know what Vince would have done if we had lost power completely, because I'm a reader. So I would have just bundled up and got on the covers and read. Like, I have tons of books, and I would have read, and I'd have been happy as a clam. And I would have just read, and I have my coloring books.
I wouldn't have even been able to, like, do lightsaber stuff, because I would need electricity for the soldering iron.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I did. It was like, I've got all these things, but I need electricity to do most of it. So it was like, alright, we've got candles in the house. We keep the candles on until it gets really... Because what we were doing to heat the house was we'd open up all the windows, open up all the curtains during the daytime where the sun was coming in, and it would heat the house up a little bit.
A little.
But like, we were dropping 15 degrees overnight.
Butane soldering iron.
Yeah, good way to burn yourself.
Yeah, we were being creative, and we were trying to do the same, like open all the curtains and stuff and let the sunlight in during the day to try to warm the house up a little bit, and it was interesting.
Comes in handy having 50,000 cats. You can just put cats all over.
Just put cats all over you and stuff.
And they were all happy to do that too. It was like, oh, human warm.
Yeah, it was nice with the dog too, because he was getting and luckily another thing I have luckily from being a teacher is. So I do flexible seating in my classroom, which is where the kids, they don't have to sit in just a chair. They can sit like with blankets and pillows on the floor or whatever. Well, because of COVID, I can't have any of that stuff in my classroom right now because you can't have any of those types of surfaces where the kids could like get germs on them. Right. So I brought them all home. Well, I had brought them all home last school year for spring break because I wash them every year during Christmas break and during spring break, and I Lysol them in between. To make sure that the kids aren't giving each other germs from it anyway. So luckily I had 2 extra blankets from school, and we have like a big one of those big fluffy Sherpa blankets, so we had that, and then I have like a bunch of like lap blankets, so I had our regular comforter, then our Sherpa blanket, then I had like the lap blankets like on there like patchwork, and then I had 2 other blankets on top of that.
We have a really cool, what is it called, a parabolic space heater that we got from Costco. and I highly recommend that because it's not anything that like blows out air. It's not like a heater that blows out air. It just kind of like irradiates heat, and it doesn't use a lot of energy to do that.
Yeah, it's got like a metal dish, and then it has the heating element in the middle, and so it radiates the heat out like in a cone-shaped area, and it's kind of tilted up because the heat rises anyway. So, it was really, it saved our bum. And I had just happened to get it because I tend to, Vincent and I both, as we've gotten older, tend to be chilly. And rather than running the heater like full blast, we would just have the little space heater and like kind of heat up our bedroom, and it would be nice and toasty at night, and then we'd go jump in the bed or whatever, and be nice and toasty. So I'm always trying to like conserve energy and conserve resources. I'm trying to be semi-green. Like, I'm not perfect at it, but
it was good for us to do it, especially through all of this, because a lot of people were without because of the brownouts that kept happening. So that was one of the things I was glad that we were doing.
And I was thinking for Christmas for the boys, I may start like start making them like a prepper pack too. I'm gonna get them the propane heater from Coleman and get them a propane stove, because they were kind of suffering when they were without power. So.
Because it's funny, there's just so many houses that don't even have gas. Like, we
we
don't have
have gas.
So our stove.
Well, that's because gas isn't green. Gotta be electric.
Well, electric's not green either. Because electric comes from gas.
Well, yeah. That,
predominantly here in Texas.
that was the problem with our stuff. With that's why a lot of our gas stuff failed here, is because the pumps that get the gas here are electric.
Right, exactly. People were spreading around this picture of like the wind turbines having to be de-iced and everything. That picture wasn't even from Texas. Yeah. It wasn't even from this year.
It was from like the Netherlands or something like that, right?
It's the one that makes the rounds every time there's something.
I know, and I'm like, that's not how that works. That's not how any of that works. Or saying that it was too cold for the solar panels to work. It works on the light. It's photos.
Works on the radiation.
Yeah. And Texas has plenty of light from the sun. We had lots of light from the sun even when it was cold.
I mean, you may have...
Unless it was covered with snow, which...
Yeah.
Even then, it was like the solar panels, the snow melted off of them really fast because they're creating energy, because they're converting that solar, and so they get thermal energy and they heat up, and so they real quick the roof was covered with snow and the ground was covered with snow and the panels were like half covered with snow. Like they started covered with snow, and when the day started to come through, they were melting themselves off. So it was just an interesting experience, and I'm glad that we talked about it, because I think a lot of people get a lot of news about what's happening in other parts of the country, and they don't get like a really clear picture. And you get kind of these bigger apocalyptic things in your mind that happen.
And quick few things is, when you're going and the store is out of things, look for the stuff that people didn't get. Like, you'll go through, we're able to get like whole wheat tortillas, or different little things like in the frozen food section, like biscuits from the frozen food section.
You obviously didn't go into the stores that I went into where there was nothing.
Really, just absolutely nothing?
Absolutely nothing.
Well, we have a little secret place that we go to.
Gone.
A little secret neighborhood Walmart that not everybody thinks to go to.
But even then, really everything was gone, because a lot of the like keto stuff, low carb stuff, Atkins stuff, it was all still there.
Yeah.
Like lima beans and stuff that people didn't want. I mean, I was like, well, people, I mean, if you're hungry. Like,
I mean, there was like tons of good soup.
Yeah.
That was there.
I mean, Vincent and I will eat pretty much anything, like, as you can tell. Like, I don't have problems eating. So, like, in a pinch, I'll eat something. I mean, you know.
Oh, it's like, I've got no problem. I've got enough stuff to last
Yeah, I was like, I know you've got stuff.
And I don't have the prepper stuff because the prepper stuff is almost the exact same stuff as what I've got, but it's just normal stuff that expires in 6 months or whatever, and I just replace it because there's no point in me having something that's shelf stable for 25 years.
Yeah, no, we don't have like actual prepper stuff. We just make sure that the pantry is stocked, and then we'll go through it, diminish it, stock it back up.
The other problem with the prepper stuff is, number one, you need water, and number two, you need heat to do it, to use it anyway. So if you've got those things, you might as well have your instant noodles and your rice and your soups and your cans of stuff.
Right.
You might as well have them.
Yeah.
Unless you're burying
So get a
somewhere.
propane and a propane stove, and
get the
you're
propane
set.
and the propane accessories.
But thanks for checking us out, talking about our snowpocalypse.
Snowmageddon.
Our snowmageddon. It was really interesting to go through it.
Eye opener.
Snow was fun for a few days, and then it stopped being fun.
And if you want to see the snow, check out my vlog.
Yeah.
Clearly Colleen. That's me.
But thanks for checking us out. I'm Vince.
I'm Colleen, and that's Stuart.
Geek Out SA.